She searched for perfection. 20 polished nannies, flawless resumes, glowing references, but her little girl refused them all. Then, everything changed the moment a quiet maintenance worker walked in. To everyone else, he was invisible. To her daughter, he was the only one who truly listened. But behind his steady hands is a hidden past, and behind her family's fortune is a storm of judgment ready to destroy them both. As whispers spread and reputations crumble, one question becomes impossible to ignore. Will a child's simple choice shatter a world built on appearances, or heal 2 broken families forever? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The grandfather clock in the foyer struck 9 when the first candidate arrived. Claire smoothed her charcoal blazer and checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. Professional, composed, exactly what her board expected. Behind her, Anna sat cross-legged on the Persian rug, arranging her dolls in perfect rows. Remember what we talked about? Claire knelt beside her daughter. You'll help Mommy choose someone nice to look after you? Anna nodded without looking up. Her small fingers adjusted a doll's dress with meticulous care. The doorbell chimed. Margaret Hanson stood on the threshold, navy suit pressed to perfection, leather portfolio tucked under one arm. Her references from Senator Morrison's family practically glowed. Mrs. Whitfield, such a pleasure. Margaret's handshake was firm, practiced. I've heard wonderful things about your work at Whitfield Technologies. They settled in the living room, Claire in the wing-back chair, Margaret on the sofa's edge, Anna between them, like a tiny judge. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating dust motes that danced above the coffee table's polished surface. Anna, this is Miss Hanson. Claire's voice carried forced brightness. She loves horses. Don't you love horses? Anna glanced up, then back to her lap. They're okay. Margaret launched into her credentials. 15 years experience, CPR certified, fluent in French. Her words blurred together as Claire watched Anna retreat further into herself, shoulders hunching like a turtle pulling into its shell. By noon, 7 more candidates had passed through, each woman more qualified than the last. The Montessori specialist who'd written children's books, the former pediatric nurse with glowing recommendations from 3 CEOs, the Swiss au pair who'd practically raised European royalty. Anna hadn't spoken to any of them. Darling, you must engage. Evelyn Whitfield swept into the room between interviews, her silk scarf trailing like smoke. Claire's mother-in-law surveyed the resumes spread across the coffee table with sharp eyes. The Morrison girl was perfectly adequate. Harvard education, speaks 4 languages. Anna didn't warm to her. Children don't know what's best for them. Evelyn plucked invisible lint from her sleeve. That's why they have mothers, though some mothers need more guidance than others. The barb landed precisely where intended. Claire's jaw tightened. When Richard was alive, Evelyn began. Richard isn't here. The words escaped before Claire could stop them. Silence crystallized between them. Anna looked up from her dolls, blue eyes wide. No, Evelyn said softly, dangerously. He isn't. Which is why you cannot afford mistakes. The Whitfield name carries weight in this city. Anna's future depends on the connections we maintain now. She glided toward the door, pausing at the threshold. The Pemberton woman comes highly recommended. She raised the ambassador's children. Do try to recognize quality when you see it. The door clicked shut. Claire's hands trembled as she gathered the scattered papers. Mommy? Anna's voice was small. Did I do something wrong? No, sweetheart. Never. The afternoon candidates blurred together. Each woman perched on the sofa's edge, rattling off accomplishments while Anna shrank smaller and smaller. The art therapist who'd worked with troubled youth, the former elementary teacher with 20 years' experience, the pediatric psychologist who specialized in grief counseling. That last one made Claire's chest tighten. She'd found her through the bereavement group, thinking maybe someone who understood loss. But Anna just stared at her hands while Dr. Patricia Reeves explained developmental milestones and emotional processing techniques. By 4 o'clock, Claire's temples throbbed. Anna had stopped even pretending to pay attention, absorbed in braiding her doll's hair with fierce concentration. Perhaps we could take a break? Candidate 15, or was it 16, suggested gently. Anna seems tired. She's fine. Claire's voice came out sharper than intended. Please continue about your experience with the governor's family. But the woman was right. Anna's face had gone pale, dark circles visible beneath her eyes. When had her daughter gotten so thin? Claire couldn't remember the last time she'd heard her laugh. The final candidates arrived as shadows lengthened across the hardwood floors. Each woman tried different tactics. One brought cookies, another attempted magic tricks. The last pulled out an iPad loaded with educational games. Anna just watched with those two old eyes, saying nothing. When the door closed behind number 20, Ms. Catherine Pemberton, Evelyn's recommendation, Claire slumped against the wall. The townhouse felt cavernous, empty despite the fortune spent filling it with tasteful furniture and carefully curated art. Come on, little one. She held out her hand. Let's get some dinner. They sat at the massive dining table, two small figures dwarfed by empty chairs. Claire had ordered from Anna's favorite restaurant, mac and cheese from the place that made it with 5 different cheeses, the way Richard used to love. Anna pushed pasta around her plate, building small mountains that collapsed into valleys. Any of them seem nice? Claire kept her voice light. Miss Hanson with the horses? Or Miss Rodriguez, who knew all those card games? Anna's fork stilled. She looked up, and for a moment Claire saw Richard in the stubborn set of her jaw. I don't like any of them, Mommy. The words hung between them like a confession. Claire reached across the table, covering Anna's small hand with her own. Can you tell me why? Anna's bottom lip trembled. They don't see me. They look at me, but they don't see. The simplicity of it, the pure truth, shattered something in Claire's chest. She'd interviewed 20 perfect candidates, and not one had truly looked at her daughter. They'd seen the Whitfield name, the townhouse, the prestigious opportunity, but not the lonely little girl who still set a place for her father at tea parties. We'll find someone, Claire whispered. I promise. But even as she said it, she wondered if she was looking in all the wrong places. The radiator chose 7:15 to die. Not quietly either. It hissed like an angry cat before releasing a cloud of steam that sent Claire scrambling to pull Anna away from the dining room. Stay back, sweetheart. She fumbled with her phone, scrolling for the building maintenance number while Anna peered around her hip. Is it broken? Very broken. Steam continued its dramatic escape, fogging the windows. Of all mornings, Anna had art class today, the one activity she still showed interest in. The maintenance line rang twice. Morning, Mrs. Whitfield? What's the problem? The dining room radiator. It's having some sort of breakdown. I'll send someone right up. Claire ushered Anna to the kitchen, fixing toast while keeping one eye on the dining room's impromptu sauna. Her phone buzzed with meeting reminders. The quarterly board presentation loomed, and she hadn't even... The doorbell interrupted her spiral. A man stood in the hallway, toolbox in hand, work overalls, steel-toed boots that had seen better decades. His face carried the weathered patience of someone who'd fixed 1,000 problems that weren't his own. Morning, Daniel Reyes, building maintenance. Please come in. It's through here. He moved with quiet efficiency, no wasted motion. While Claire had expected someone older, the usual maintenance staff were retirement-age men who'd worked the building since the 70s. Daniel couldn't be much older than herself. Dark hair threaded with premature silver, hands scarred from honest work. He knelt beside the radiator, movements careful and precise. Anna drifted closer, abandoning her half-eaten toast. Anna, let Mr. Reyes work. But her daughter had already settled cross-legged on the floor, watching with the focused attention Claire hadn't seen since Richard taught her chess. "What makes the steam?" Anna's voice held genuine curiosity. Daniel glanced up, and something shifted in his expression, a softness that transformed his face. "Water gets too hot, needs somewhere to go. Like when you're upset and need to cry, right? Better out than in." Anna nodded solemnly. "My mommy says I should use my words instead." "Words are good too." He turned a valve, and the hissing quieted. "But sometimes things just need fixing first, then we can talk about them." "Like feelings?" Daniel's hand stilled for just a moment. "Yeah, like feelings." Claire watched this strange interaction, her carefully scheduled morning tilting sideways. Daniel worked steadily while Anna peppered him with questions. Why did radiators need water? How did buildings stay warm? Had he ever burned himself? He answered each one seriously, never condescending, never rushed. When Anna mentioned her father used to explain how things worked, Daniel simply said, "Sounds like a smart man," and continued working. The radiator surrendered with a final wheeze. Daniel packed his tools methodically while Anna helped, handing him wrenches with the gravity of a surgical nurse. All fixed. He stood, knees creaking slightly. "Should hold through winter." "Thank you." Claire reached for her purse. "What do I—" "Building covers it. Part of the service." Anna grabbed his sleeve before he could leave. "Wait!" She darted to her room, returning with a drawing, one of her better ones, a tree with carefully detailed leaves. "For you, because you fixed our radiator." Daniel accepted the picture with the same seriousness he'd shown the entire visit. "This is really something. You made all these leaves different colors?" "Because fall makes them change, like people change." "That's very true." He folded the drawing carefully, tucking it in his chest pocket. "Thank you, Anna. I'll put this somewhere special." Claire saw it then, the moment her daughter's face transformed. Not the polite smile she'd worn for 20 nannies, but genuine delight. Anna threw her arms around Daniel's waist, burying her face in his overalls. "Mommy, he's the one. He's my nanny." The words landed like dropped china. Daniel froze, clearly mortified. Claire felt heat rise in her cheeks. "Anna, honey, Mr. Reyes has his own job." "But he listens. He sees me. I should go." Daniel gently disentangled himself, shooting Claire an apologetic look. "Have a good day, Anna." The door hadn't closed before Evelyn's voice cut through the air like winter wind. "What is the meaning of this?" She stood in the foyer, having let herself in with her key, staring at Anna, still clutching the hem of her sweater where Daniel's overalls had been. The radiator broke. He was fixing it. And Anna was embracing him? Evelyn pronounced the word like contamination. The janitor? Maintenance worker. And Anna was just, "He's going to be my nanny," Anna announced, chin raised in defiance that was pure Richard. Evelyn's face drained of color. "Claire, a word, now." She swept into the living room. Claire followed, leaving Anna in the hallway, small and fierce and certain in a way that terrified her mother completely. "Have you lost all sense?" Evelyn's whisper could have cut glass. "That child needs stability, structure, not some maintenance person who'll fill her head with false hope." He was just fixing. "Oh, I saw how she looked at him." "That's dangerous, Claire. She's vulnerable, looking for a father figure anywhere she can find one. You cannot encourage this." The words landed like physical blows because Claire had seen it too. Anna's desperate attachment to a stranger who'd simply treated her like she mattered. Through the doorway, she could see her daughter still standing there, guarding the spot where Daniel had been, as if she could will him back through sheer determination. 4 days passed before Claire found herself staring at her phone, Daniel's number pulled from the building's maintenance directory glowing on the screen. The board meeting had been moved up. Margaret, her usual sitter, had the flu. Every agency she called needed 48 hours' notice. Anna sat at the breakfast table, moving cereal around her bowl without eating. "Sweetheart, I might need to bring you to the office tonight." "No." Anna's spoon clattered. "The office smells like coffee and sadness." Claire's finger hovered over Daniel's number. Evelyn's warnings echoed, but what choice did she have? She pressed call before she could reconsider. "Hello?" His voice carried the same steady calm from that morning with the radiator. "Mr. Reyes, this is Claire Whitfield from 4B. Everything working okay with the radiator?" "Yes, I have an unusual request." The words tumbled out. "I have an emergency board meeting tonight, no childcare, and Anna, would you be able to watch her, just for a few hours? I'll pay whatever." "What time?" The simple question caught her off guard. No hesitation, no judgment. 6 to probably 10, maybe later. "I can do that. My son Ethan has practice until 8, but Anna can come with me to pick him up, if that's okay." Yes, thank you." When she told Anna, her daughter's squeal could probably be heard 3 floors down. Daniel arrived at 6 sharp, carrying a small toolbox and a grocery bag. "Brought dinner fixings, if that's all right." Figured Anna might be hungry. Claire had left cash on the counter, frozen dinners in the freezer, a list of emergency numbers. "You don't need to cook." "It's no trouble." He set down his things, already scanning the kitchen. "Anna, you like quesadillas?" "What's that?" "Cheese in a tortilla, cooked until it's crispy. My son's favorite." Claire lingered at the door, watching Anna pull a stool to the counter without being asked. "My cell's on the list. If anything, we'll be fine, Mrs. Whitfield." The meeting dragged. Between quarterly projections and budget allocations, Claire checked her phone obsessively. No calls, no texts. She imagined returning to disaster, Anna in tears, Daniel overwhelmed, Evelyn somehow finding out and arriving with judgment. At 9:30, she finally escaped. The townhouse was quiet when she unlocked the door. No television blaring, no chaos. She found them in the living room, Anna curled on the couch with Mr. Patches, her stuffed rabbit, and Daniel sitting at Richard's piano. The piano she hadn't opened since the funeral. His fingers moved across the keys with practiced grace, drawing out a melody so gentle it seemed to float. Anna's breathing was deep and even, her face peaceful in a way Claire hadn't seen in months. Daniel noticed her and stopped playing, standing carefully to avoid waking Anna. "She fell asleep about 20 minutes ago," he whispered. "Thought I'd let her rest before moving her." "You play." It came out accusatory, though she hadn't meant it to. "Used to." "Been a while." He moved away from the piano like it might burn him. Anna asked about it after dinner. Hoped that was okay. "What did you play?" "Brahms' Lullaby. My son used to need it every night when he was her age." Claire looked around the tidy living room. Toys put away, dishes she could hear running in the dishwasher, Anna's homework folder placed neatly on the coffee table. She ate? 2 quesadillas and an apple. We also fixed her music box. He pulled the small ballerina box from his toolbox. Just needed a new spring. She said her dad gave it to her. Claire's throat tightened. She'd been meaning to get it repaired for weeks. "Thank you." She reached for the cash on the side table. "Let me—" "No need." He was already packing his tools. "Anna helped me reorganize my socket wrenches. We're square? That's not. You cooked. You cleaned. Oop. Mrs. Whitfield." He paused at the door. "Your daughter's a special kid. Smart, funny, kind. You're doing a good job with her." The words hit her unexpectedly hard. When was the last time anyone had said that? Not Evelyn with her constant corrections, not the other mothers at school with their subtle competitions. She hasn't slept like that in months. Daniel's expression softened. Grief's exhausting for little ones. Sometimes they just need to know someone's there, even if they're not talking about it. After he left, Claire carried Anna to bed, tucking Mr. Patches under her arm. Her daughter stirred slightly. "Mommy?" "Yes, sweetheart." Mr. Daniel's son sounds nice. Can I meet him? We'll see. Go back to sleep. He fixed my music box. Daddy would like him. Claire smoothed her daughter's hair, unable to respond. In the hallway, she paused at Richard's piano. The keys still held warmth from Daniel's hands. She closed the lid gently, but the melody lingered in the air. Her phone buzzed. Evelyn asking about the meeting. Claire stared at the text, imagining her mother-in-law's horror if she knew who had watched Anna tonight. The maintenance man, the janitor, the help. But Anna had eaten. Anna had laughed. She'd heard it from the hallway. Anna had slept. Claire deleted the text without responding and went to pour herself a very large glass of wine, trying not to think about how right her daughter had looked, perched on that stool beside Daniel, helping make dinner like it was the most natural thing in the world. The doorbell rang at 7:15 the next morning. Claire, still in her silk robe with coffee in hand, found Evelyn on her doorstep, Hermes bag clutched like a weapon. "We need to talk." "Good morning to you too, Evelyn." Her mother-in-law swept past her into the foyer. "Margaret Chen called me last night. Her housekeeper's cousin works in your building. Apparently, you left Anna with the maintenance man?" Claire's stomach dropped. "It was an emergency." An emergency that required entrusting my granddaughter to a janitor? Evelyn's voice could have frozen champagne. "Do you have any idea what people are saying?" "People need to mind their own business." "Claire." Evelyn set down her bag with practiced precision. "Richard built a reputation. A legacy. You cannot throw it away because you're too disorganized to arrange proper child care. One evening, he watched her for one evening. A stranger. A man who fixes toilets for a living. What do you even know about him?" The accusation stung because it held truth. Claire knew almost nothing about Daniel Reyes beyond his gentle hands fixing Anna's music box, the way he'd coaxed her daughter to eat. Anna trusts him. Anna is 6. She trusts the ice cream truck driver. After Evelyn left, with promises to handle finding appropriate care, Claire sat at her home office desk and did something she'd never done with any employee. She called a private investigator. The report arrived by lunch, delivered digitally with brutal efficiency. Daniel Reyes, 38. Previous employment, music teacher, Jefferson Middle School, 2015 to 2019. Claire scrolled down. Teacher of the Year, 2017. Established award-winning jazz program. Coached 3 students to state championships. Further down, the words that made her chest tighten. 2019. Accused of inappropriate conduct with students. Investigation launched following complaint by Vice Principal Harold Morrison. Charges dropped after a 6-month investigation. No evidence of misconduct found. Reyes resigned shortly after. She kept reading, her coffee growing cold. Current employment: maintenance supervisor, Ridgemont Properties. Single father. Son Ethan Reyes, age 10, no criminal record, no bankruptcy, no liens. But it was the attached newspaper clipping that stopped her breathing. Local teacher faces suspension after confronting administration over discriminatory discipline policies. The article detailed how Daniel had documented systematic targeting of Black and Latino students for harsher punishments, how he'd presented evidence to the school board, how Vice Principal Morrison had filed the misconduct complaint 2 days later. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Anna stood in the doorway, still in her school uniform. "Nothing, sweetheart." "How was school?" "Boring." Amy's mom said I can't come to her birthday party. "What? Why?" Anna climbed into her lap. "She said her mom doesn't want kids whose mommies make bad choices." Rage flared hot in Claire's chest. That's not okay." "I don't care." Amy's mean anyway. Anna played with Claire's necklace. "Can Mr. Daniel watch me again? He was going to teach me a card game." "We'll see." "That means no." "It means we'll see." Anna slid off her lap. "He listens, Mommy. When I talk about Daddy, He doesn't get that weird face like everyone else. He just listens. After Anna went to play, Claire stood at her office window. 3 floors down, Daniel worked in the courtyard, replacing stones in the garden pathway. His movements were methodical, careful. A tenant's dog ran loose, and he caught it easily, kneeling to calm the animal before returning it. Her phone buzzed. Another text from another school mother. "Heard about your babysitting situation. If you need references for actual nannies." The condescension dripped through the screen. She watched Daniel help an elderly resident with her groceries, taking them all the way to the building entrance. No one tipped him, no one thanked him. He simply returned to his work, kneeling in the dirt. A man who'd stood up for children who looked like his son. Who'd lost everything for refusing to stay silent about injustice. Who now fixed radiators and caught loose dogs and played lullabies for a grieving 6-year-old. Her laptop screen still glowed with the investigation report. Misconduct, inappropriate, resigned. The words that would destroy him in her world, even though they were lies, even though he'd been cleared. She thought of Evelyn's horror, of the school mothers already closing ranks, of her position on the board, her reputation, Richard's legacy. Then she thought of Anna, sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. Daniel looked up suddenly, as if sensing her gaze. 3 floors between them, but she stepped back from the window anyway, heart racing like she'd been caught at something shameful. Her phone rang. "Evelyn, I've arranged interviews with 3 more candidates for tomorrow. These come from Senator Walsh's personal agency. Impeccable references. Thank you, Evelyn. Claire, promise me you won't use that man again." Down in the courtyard, Daniel had finished the pathway. He gathered his tools slowly, favoring his left knee. An old injury, maybe. A woman rushing past didn't see him and knocked his toolbox over. She kept walking. He knelt again, collecting scattered screws from the ground, patient as prayer. "Claire, promise me." "I have to go, Evelyn. Anna needs dinner." She hung up before her mother-in-law could respond, still watching the man her daughter had chosen, the man society had already judged and found wanting. Saturday morning arrived wrapped in autumn sunshine, the kind that made Claire's townhouse glow with false warmth. She arranged white roses in crystal vases, while caterers laid out smoked salmon and artisanal pastries. Everything perfect, everything precisely as Richard would have done. "Anna, please wear the blue dress grandmother sent. It's scratchy. It's appropriate." The doorbell chimed at 11 sharp. Margaret Walsh arrived first, air-kissing Claire while scanning the room for flaws. Then came the others, Jennifer, Diane, Patricia, all widows or wives from Richard's investment firm, all armed with sympathy and judgment in equal measure. "Claire, darling, you look exhausted," Jennifer cooed, settling into the cream sofa. "This single mother business must be overwhelming." "I manage." "Of course you do," Patricia's smile cut sharp, "though we heard you've been creative with childcare solutions." The women exchanged glances. Claire's champagne flute trembled slightly. "I don't know what you mean." "Oh, nothing terrible." Margaret waved her hand, diamonds catching light. "Just that you've been using alternative help. The maintenance man? Once, during an emergency." "Well, emergencies do happen." Diane's tone suggested otherwise. "Though really, Claire, there are agencies. Proper ones." Anna wandered in then, barefoot despite instructions, the blue dress already wrinkled. She climbed into Claire's lap, studying the women with those 2 wise eyes. "Hello, sweet Anna," Patricia sang out. "Your mommy's been telling us about your new nannies." "I don't have nannies." "No? But your mother interviewed so many nice ladies." "Daniel is my nanny now." The words hung in the air like shattered crystal. Anna beamed, oblivious. "He teaches me piano and makes grilled cheese with real butter and knows all about clouds. He says cumulus ones look like sheep." Jennifer's cup rattled against its saucer. "The maintenance man is your regular child care?" "He's not," Claire started. The doorbell interrupted. Through the French doors, she saw Daniel at the entrance, toolbox in hand. Her stomach dropped. "Excuse me." She rushed to the door. "Daniel, what?" "Building manager called about a leak in your powder room. Said it was urgent." He kept his voice low, professional. "I can come back." "No, just be quick." She led him through the living room, feeling the women's eyes track their movement like hunters. Daniel nodded politely at the group. "Ladies." Silence. Patricia finally spoke, voice dripping honey. "How nice that you could come so promptly." "Just doing my job, ma'am." "And apparently so much more," Margaret muttered, loud enough to carry. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he continued to the powder room. Claire heard her friends whispering, caught the words standards and desperate. And what would Richard think? Anna slipped away from the group, following Daniel. Claire found them a minute later, Anna holding the flashlight while Daniel worked under the sink. "See, Mr. Daniel? I'm helping." "You sure are, little one. Best assistant I've had all week." "These are Mommy's friends from when Daddy was alive." "I don't like them much." "Anna!" Claire gasped. Daniel emerged from under the sink, careful and slow. "Leak's fixed. Just a loose connection." He packed his tools while Anna chattered about the brunch food, how the tiny sandwiches were silly, how people should just eat regular sandwiches. His eyes met Claire's over Anna's head. Understanding, no judgment, maybe something like pity. "I should go." "Daniel makes better food anyway," Anna announced. "His mac and cheese has 3 kinds of cheese." From the living room, a burst of uncomfortable laughter. Claire's face burned. Daniel knelt to Anna's level. "You be good for your mom, okay? Enjoy your fancy sandwiches." "They're not as good as yours." He squeezed her shoulder gently, then stood. "Mrs. Whitfield." After he left, Claire returned to find her guests already gathering purses. "We should go," Jennifer announced. "Let you sort things out." "What things?" Margaret touched her arm with surgical precision. "Darling, we're concerned. First the isolation after Richard, now this, attachment to inappropriate help. It reflects on all of us. He's kind to my daughter." "Dogs are kind to children, Boaz," Patricia said. "That doesn't mean we put them in charge." They left in a flutter of silk and whispered concerns, leaving Claire alone among untouched pastries and wilting conversation. Anna appeared, munching a full-sized cookie she'd snuck from the kitchen. "Why were they mean to Mr. Daniel?" "They weren't. It's complicated, sweetheart." "No, it's not. They think he's less than them because he fixes things. But he fixes everything, Mommy, even sad things." That evening, Claire sat on Anna's bed, watching her daughter arrange stuffed animals in careful rows. "Mr. Daniel's son, Ethan, has a rocket that actually flies. Can I see it?" "We'll see." "You always say that." Anna looked up with Richard's eyes. Daddy would have liked Daniel. He liked people who worked hard. After Anna fell asleep, Claire wandered her empty house. The caterers had cleaned everything, erased all evidence of the disastrous brunch, but she could still hear Margaret's voice. "It reflects on all of us." Across town, Daniel helped Ethan with homework at their small kitchen table. The apartment was neat but worn, everything second-hand but cared for. "Dad, can Anna visit the community center soon? She'd like the art class." "That's up to her mom, buddy." "Her mom seems scared of everything." Daniel set down his pencil. "Hey, Mrs. Whitfield's doing her best. It's not easy, what she's going through. But Anna likes you. Isn't that enough?" Daniel pulled his son close. "Sometimes, Bud, the world makes things more complicated than they need to be." "That's dumb." Yeah, it is." Claire lay awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow Evelyn would call. The board would whisper. The invitations would stop coming. But Anna would smile. The choice pressed against her ribs, sharp as broken glass. The world she'd inherited from Richard, or the man her daughter trusted with her wounded heart. Outside, rain began to fall. 3 days after the brunch disaster, Claire's resolve crumbled. Anna had asked 17 times about visiting Ethan's rocket, about the community center, about when she could see Mr. Daniel again. Each request came quieter than the last until Anna stopped asking altogether, which was worse. "Fine," Claire said over breakfast. "We can visit for an hour." Anna's face transformed, light flooding back in. The community center sat wedged between a laundromat and a check-cashing store, its brick facade painted with a mural of children reaching for stars. Claire parked her Mercedes between two beaten sedans, checking the locks twice. Inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and old books. Second-hand computers lined one wall, their monitors mismatched but functional. Hand-painted posters covered every surface. "Dream big. Mistakes are proof you're trying. Everyone belongs here." "Anna!" Ethan appeared from behind a bookshelf, grinning wide. "Come see what I built." Anna grabbed his hand without hesitation, and they vanished into the maze of tables and chairs. Claire stood frozen in the doorway, purse clutched tight. "She'll be fine." Daniel emerged from a side room, carrying a box of art supplies. He wore jeans and a faded T-shirt, different from his maintenance uniform, more relaxed. Ethan's been talking about her visit all week. Claire followed him deeper into the center, past groups of children working on homework, teenagers huddled around a chessboard, mothers with toddlers at a reading circle. Everyone seemed to know Daniel. Kids called out greetings, parents waved. An elderly man playing dominoes shouted something in Spanish that made Daniel laugh. She found Anna and Ethan at a computer in the corner, heads bent together over the keyboard. "See?" You hit the arrows when they match the beat. Ethan guided Anna's small fingers, like dancing, but with your hands. Anna's face scrunched in concentration. She missed the first few notes, then caught the rhythm. The screen exploded in stars. "I did it!" "You're a natural," Ethan said. "Way better than my dad. He's terrible at rhythm games." "I can hear you," Daniel called over. Claire had never seen Anna connect with another child so quickly. At school she hung back, overwhelmed by the chaos of privilege and performance. But here, with Ethan's patient guidance, she bloomed. "Coffee?" Daniel asked. "Fair warning, it's community center coffee, one step above motor oil." She followed him to a small break room with cracked linoleum and a coffee maker that had seen better decades. He poured 2 cups, handed her one. She sipped, tried not to wince. "That bad?" "I've had worse." She hadn't. They stood by the window watching Anna and Ethan through the glass panel. The children had moved on to painting, Anna's hands already covered in purple. "Ethan's good with her." "He's had practice. Helps with the younger kids here most evenings." Daniel's voice carried quiet pride. "Says he wants to be a teacher like I used to be." The words hung between them, an invitation she wasn't sure how to accept. "What did you teach?" "Music. Elementary level, mostly." He stared into his coffee. Loved every minute of it. The breakthrough moments when a kid finally gets it, when they realize they can create something beautiful. "Why did you stop?" His shoulders tensed. "You read the report." "I read accusations, not truth." Daniel turned to study her, something shifting in his expression. "There were 3 kids in my class, recent immigrants. Other teachers said they were problems, couldn't learn, disrupted everything, but they were just scared, didn't speak much English, felt lost." He set down his cup. "I started teaching them separately during lunch, using music to bridge the language gap. They flourished, started participating, making friends." Claire waited. The vice principal didn't like it. "Said I was giving special treatment, undermining discipline. Truth was, he didn't like seeing those kids succeed. Made him look bad." Daniel's jaw tightened. "When I refused to stop the lunch sessions, he manufactured complaints, said I was inappropriate with students, crossing boundaries. Even though I always kept the door open, always had another teacher present. That's horrible. Investigation cleared me, but damage was done. Parents didn't trust me anymore. The looks, the whispers, I couldn't put Ethan through that, so I left." Through the window, Anna shrieked with laughter as Ethan showed her how to make paint handprints. You were protecting your son. Everything I do is about protecting him. Daniel's voice dropped. But sometimes I wonder if I'm protecting him from the wrong things. Showing him to run instead of fight. You're showing him to survive. That's not weakness. Your friends at brunch would disagree. Heat crept up Claire's neck. They're not really friends. More like inherited obligations. Must be exhausting. Everything's exhausting without Richard. The admission slipped out before she could stop it. He handled all the social navigation, knew exactly what to say, who to charm. I just built the business while he built the relationships. Now I have his world, but not his skill. Maybe you don't need his world. Anna's laughter rang out again. She'd painted a rainbow, messy and bold. Maybe, Claire whispered. An hour became 2. Anna learned 3 different rhythm games, painted 4 pictures, and helped Ethan explain coding basics to younger kids. Claire found herself pulled into conversations with Maria, whose son was struggling with reading, with Mr. Chen, who ran the chess club, with Tasha, a teenager who wanted advice about college applications. Time to go, sweetheart, Claire finally said. 5 more minutes. We've already had 5 more minutes. Anna's face fell, but Ethan intervened. You can come back, right? Thursday's pizza night. Claire felt Daniel watching her, careful not to pressure. Anna's hopeful eyes reflected the overhead fluorescence. We'll see. In the car, Anna clutched the rhythm game printout, her scores circled in purple marker, Ethan's encouraging notes in the margins. Mommy, did you see how fast I got? Ethan says I have natural rhythm. Can we get a computer like that? Can I show Grandma Evelyn my scores? Claire glanced in the rearview mirror. Anna's face glowed with something she hadn't seen since Richard died, pure, uncomplicated joy. Grandma Evelyn might not understand. Why? It's just a game. But it wasn't just a game. It was Anna choosing her own happiness. It was Daniel's quiet strength in that break room. It was a world beyond inherited obligations. By the time they reached home, Anna had fallen asleep. The printout still pressed against her chest like treasure or armor, or maybe a map to somewhere better. Please, Mommy, Daniel knows piano. He can teach me. Anna hadn't stopped talking about the community center since breakfast. She'd shown her rhythm game printout to Martha, their housekeeper, explained the scoring system 3 times, and now stood in the living room with her hands pressed together in exaggerated prayer. Sweetheart, Daniel has work to do. He's fixing Mrs. Chen's sink. That's just downstairs. He could come after. Claire glanced at the Steinway in the corner, Richard's piano, untouched for 2 years except for dusting. The last time anyone played it was at his wake. We don't even know if Daniel wants to. The doorbell interrupted. Anna raced to answer before Claire could stop her. Daniel stood in the hallway, toolbox in hand, work shirt damp with sweat. Mrs. Chen's disposal started backing up while I was doing the sink. Took longer than... He stopped, noticing Anna bouncing beside him. Everything okay? Will you teach me piano, please? Mommy says yes. I didn't say. You have a piano here. I saw it yesterday. Anna grabbed Daniel's free hand. Just 1 lesson. Daniel's eyes found Claire's, checking for permission, for boundaries, for whatever she needed him to see. If you have time, Claire heard herself say. Daniel washed his hands twice at the kitchen sink, dried them carefully on a dish towel. Anna had already positioned herself on the piano bench, feet swinging high above the pedals. First thing, posture. Daniel pulled up a chair beside her. Sit tall, like a string's pulling you up from here. He touched the top of her head gently. Feet flat. We'll need some books for you to rest them on. Claire fetched encyclopedias from Richard's study, trying not to think about how he'd planned to teach Anna himself one day. Good. Now hands, Daniel demonstrated on his lap first. Curved, like you're holding a small ball. Not tense, just ready. Anna mimicked him, tongue poking out in concentration. Perfect. Let's find middle C. He guided her finger to the key, pressed it down with her. The note rang clear through the townhouse, breaking 2 years of silence. That's C. Everything starts from C. For 20 minutes, Anna learned to find C, then D, then E. Each discovery brought delighted gasps. Daniel never rushed, never criticized. When she hit the wrong key, he simply said, "Almost. Try one to the left." "My last piano teacher said I had clumsy fingers," Anna confided. "No such thing as clumsy fingers. Only fingers that haven't found their way yet." Claire watched from the doorway, remembering Anna's tears after those rigid lessons with Miss Hartwell last year, the metronome's militant tick, the ruler slapping wrong positions. Anna had quit after 3 sessions. Now her daughter laughed, making up songs with her 5 learned notes. "Listen, Daniel, it's about a butterfly. C, C, D, E, E, E. The butterfly flies away." Beautiful. Want to write it down? You can write music. Everything you hear started as marks on paper here. Daniel found a notepad, sketched a simple staff. These lines are like a ladder for notes. The doorbell rang again. "That's probably Ethan," Daniel said. "Asked him to meet me here when he finished homework club." Anna jumped up. "Ethan's here?" She flew to the door, Claire following. Ethan stood outside with his backpack, looking uncertain. "Come see? I'm learning piano. Daniel's teaching me." The boy's uncertainty melted. "Cool, can you play anything yet?" "The Butterfly Song. I made it up myself." Claire found herself setting 4 plates for dinner, moving automatically while the children worked at the dining table. Anna showed Ethan her homework. He helped her with subtraction. Their heads bent together over the worksheet, Anna's blonde curls mixing with Ethan's dark hair. "Carry the 1, see? Like this." "Oh, that's easier than how Mrs. Peterson showed us." Daniel helped Claire in the kitchen, slicing vegetables while she stirred pasta sauce. They worked without speaking, finding rhythm in shared tasks. "Thank you," she said finally. For the lesson, she was so happy. She's a natural. Good ear, good instinct. Her father would have loved to hear that. Richard played? Jazz mostly, some classical. The piano was his release after difficult days. She tested the sauce, added salt. "I kept meaning to sell it." "I'm glad you didn't." Dinner filled the townhouse with noise it hadn't heard in years. Ethan told jokes that made Anna snort milk. Anna insisted on demonstrating her butterfly song between courses. Daniel quietly corrected her table posture the same way he'd fixed her piano position, gentle, patient, without shame. "We never eat like this at home," Ethan admitted. "Usually it's just takeout or microwave stuff." "I made lasagna once," Daniel protested. "Remember?" "Dad, it was basically cheese soup with noodles floating in it." Anna giggled. "We could teach you. Mommy makes great lasagna." "Mommy orders great lasagna," Claire corrected. After dinner, the children discovered Richard's old board game collection. Soon they were deep in Monopoly, Ethan explaining strategy, while Anna bought every property she landed on. "You need to save money for houses," Ethan advised. "I like owning things. Look, I have the whole yellow part." Daniel helped Claire clear dishes. Through the doorway, they watched their children play. Anna animated, gesturing wildly, Ethan patient, amused, protective in a way that reminded her of Daniel. "He's good with her," Claire said. "She brings out his silly side. He's had to grow up fast." They both have. At 8:30, Claire announced bedtime. Anna's protest died when Ethan promised to bring his coding book next time. "Next time?" Claire asked. Daniel's face shifted, uncertain. "If you want. No pressure." "Thursday's pizza night," Anna said firmly. "You promised we could go." Claire looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at Ethan trying not to seem eager, at Daniel ready to accept whatever she decided. Thursday, then. After tucking Anna in, Claire stood in the dim hallway, listening to her daughter's drowsy voice through the door. "It feels happy again, Mommy." The words hit Claire's chest like a physical weight. She pressed her palm against the wall, tears sliding silent down her cheeks. Happy. Not since Richard. Not since the house became a museum of careful grief. From Anna's room came the sound of humming, 5 notes, climbing and falling, the butterfly song carrying her towards sleep. 3 days became a week stretched into 2. Daniel collected Anna from school while Claire finished board meetings, bringing her home to piano practice and homework. The arrangement worked with mechanical precision, except for the whispers that followed Claire like exhaust fumes. "I heard she actually lets him inside the house," Miranda Stage whispered at the coffee shop Tuesday morning. Alone with the child. "Poor thing must be desperate," agreed Judith, stirring sugar into her latte, though one would think she'd have better judgment. Claire kept her eyes on her laptop screen, pretending not to hear. The quarterly reports blurred as their voices carried. "My Herald saw them at the park, the maintenance man and both children, like some sort of arrangement." The word dripped disapproval. Claire closed her laptop harder than necessary and left without ordering. But Thursday afternoon, watching Anna demonstrate her 2-handed scales, Claire found the gossip dissolving like morning frost. Her daughter's face glowed with concentration, tongue poking out slightly as she navigated the keys. "Both hands together now," Daniel coached. "Think of them as friends walking side by side." "Friends don't always walk the same speed," Anna reasoned. "True, but good friends learn to match their pace." Anna tried again, left hand steadying as the right found its rhythm. When she finished, she spun on the bench, beaming. "Did you hear? They walked together." "They did. You're getting it." Claire's phone buzzed. Another concerned text from Evelyn about boundaries and appropriate help. She deleted it unread. That evening, water dripped beneath the kitchen sink, a steady plink against metal. Claire mentioned it when Daniel arrived with Anna and Ethan for their now regular Thursday dinner. "I can look at it, Bidai," he offered, already moving toward his toolbox by the door. "You don't have to, it'll drive you crazy all night." "Trust me." He slid under the sink while Claire stirred the soup. His feet stuck out, work boots crossed at the ankles. The children did homework at the table, Ethan helping Anna with multiplication tables through some game involving chocolate chips. 7 times 8? Ethan asked. 56? Right. You get 8 chocolate chips. That's so many. That's the point. Math equals chocolate. Claire found herself smiling as she diced bread for croutons. Daniel emerged from under the sink, a worn washer in his palm. "Found your problem. Give me 5 minutes." He worked while she cooked, their movements coordinated without discussion. She reached for bowls. He shifted left. He needed the trash can. She stepped aside, like dancers who'd rehearsed without knowing it. "All fixed," he announced, testing the faucet. "Shouldn't drip any more." "What do I owe you?" He gave her a look. "Claire, you can't keep fixing things for free. Watch me." Dinner erupted in laughter when Anna tried teaching them her butterfly song, with modified lyrics about soup. Ethan added a verse about burned croutons that made Anna shriek with delight. Even Daniel laughed, his usual careful composure cracking. "We should start a band," Anna declared. "The Soup Singers." "Terrible name," Ethan said. "How about the Kitchen Disasters?" "Hey," Daniel protested. "My cooking's not that bad." "Dad, you once served us cereal for dinner, 3 nights straight. It was fortified cereal." Claire caught herself laughing harder than she had in months. The sound felt foreign in her throat, rusty but real. After dinner, the children played Connect 4 while Claire and Daniel cleaned. She washed, he dried. Neither spoke about the easy rhythm they'd found. "Anna's different," she said finally. "Lighter? I haven't seen her this present in so long. Kids know when they're safe to just be kids." "Is that what you've given her? Safety?" Daniel paused, dish towel in hand. "I hope so. Both of them. They've had enough of feeling uncertain." At the door later, Coates gathered. Ethan already outside, Daniel lingered. Claire found herself lingering too, hand on the doorframe. "Thank you," she said. "For the faucet. For dinner. For, It's nothing. It's not nothing." The words came out fiercer than intended. Everyone else looks at her and sees the poor widow's daughter. Something to pity or fix or mold. You just see Anna. Daniel's face softened. "She makes it easy." "She's a great kid, Claire." "She is." Claire swallowed. "So is Ethan. We got lucky." "Did we?" The question hung between them. Daniel shifted, and for a moment Claire thought he might say something more. Instead, he nodded good night and followed his son into the evening. Claire stood at the door longer than necessary, watching them disappear around the corner. Her journal lay open on the nightstand, fountain pen uncapped. Claire stared at the blank page, then began writing. The house sounds different now, fuller. Anna laughs at dinner, real laughs, not the polite ones she learned for company. There are chocolate chips in my carpet and piano scales in my dreams. She paused, pen hovering. Daniel is, I don't know what Daniel is, not the handyman, not anymore, maybe never was. When he's here, the house feels less like a museum, more like what it used to be, more like what it could be again. I'm terrified of what that means. The pen trembled slightly. He fixed the faucet tonight. Such a simple thing. But I watched him work and thought about all the things that need fixing, not just pipes and radiators, the broken parts I've been carrying, the leaks I've ignored. He's more than... She crossed out the line, started again. Daniel is more. The words stared back at her, honest and frightening. Daniel is more than just the handyman. The community center's gymnasium transformed into something magical under strings of donated lights. Paper lanterns made by local children hung from basketball hoops. Mismatched tablecloths covered folding tables, each centerpiece crafted from recycled materials by art students. Nothing matched, yet everything belonged. Claire smoothed her simple dress, not the designer gown gathering dust in her closet. Anna had insisted, "We can't be fancy there, Mommy. It's not that kind of place." 5 minutes, Daniel called from the makeshift stage, adjusting the borrowed piano's bench. He wore his only suit, slightly worn at the elbows, but pressed with care. Anna bounced beside Ethan in matching navy sweaters Claire had bought them. "Remember the bridge part?" "I remember. You remember not to rush the ending?" "I won't rush." "You always rush." "Do not." Daniel caught Claire's eye across the room, offering a small smile that settled her nerves. She'd attended galas in hotel ballrooms with champagne fountains and silent auctions worth millions. This folding chairs and homemade cookies frightened her more. The crowd hushed as the children took the stage. Anna's hands shook until Ethan whispered something that made her giggle. They positioned themselves at the piano, Anna on the high notes, Ethan handling the bass. The first notes wobbled. Anna hit a wrong key, freezing. The gymnasium held its breath. "It's okay," Ethan said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We start again." That's what Mr. Daniel says. Mistakes just mean we're learning. They began once more. This time, the melody flowed. A simple arrangement of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but Daniel had woven their parts together so each child supported the other. When Anna's rhythm faltered, Ethan's steady bass carried her. When Ethan reached for difficult chords, Anna's melody guided him back. Claire pressed her fingers to her lips. Around her she heard sniffles. A woman dabbed her eyes with a paper napkin. These people, janitors, teachers, shop clerks, understood something her wealthy friends never would. They knew what it meant to watch children bloom despite everything. The last note rang out. Silence, then thunderous applause. Anna beamed, her whole face transformed. She grabbed Ethan's hand, and they bowed together, giggling. "That's my daughter," Claire whispered to no one. "She's incredible," someone answered. "Both of them." Claire found Daniel behind the stage, packing away sheet music. The sounds of the gala continued, children laughing, parents chatting, someone attempting the old piano. "Thank you." Her voice cracked. "I haven't seen her that confident since—" "She did that herself." "No, you gave her permission to try, to fail, to try again." Claire stepped closer. "Do you know how rare that is? Everyone else in her life expects perfection, even me, especially me. Perfection's overrated." "Is it?" They stood close now, the empty stage creating an island of quiet. Daniel's hand rested on the piano lid. Claire's fingers traced its edge, stopping just short of his. "She was terrified," Claire continued, "but she went up there anyway. Because you taught her that courage isn't about not being scared." "Where'd you hear that?" "She told me, last week when I asked if she wanted to back out." Claire's eyes burned. She said, "Mr. Daniel says being brave means doing it anyway." The space between them hummed. Daniel turned, and suddenly they were facing each other properly. The overhead light caught the silver threading through his hair, the laugh lines earned through years of choosing joy despite everything. "Claire, you changed her life." The words tumbled out. "You changed—" What a touching scene. Evelyn stood at the stage entrance, her designer heels clicking against the worn floor. She surveyed the gymnasium with barely concealed disgust. The handmade decorations, the potluck spread, the mixing of social classes she'd spent a lifetime avoiding. "Mother, what are you—" "I heard about this little performance." Imagine my surprise, learning from the Weatherbys that my granddaughter was performing at a community center, like some charity case. Daniel stepped back, his face carefully neutral. Claire felt the warmth between them dissolve. "Anna wanted to help raise funds. Anna is 6. She doesn't know what she wants." Evelyn's gaze sliced toward Daniel. "Unlike some people who know exactly what they're after." "Mother, please." "Do you see what you're risking? Your reputation? Anna's future? The board is already questioning your judgment. The Whitfield name used to mean something." "It still does," Claire said quietly. "Not if you keep this up, slumming with the help, letting Anna think this," she gestured at the gymnasium, "is acceptable. Your husband would be appalled." The words landed like a slap. Claire felt Daniel tense beside her, saw his jaw clench. But he said nothing, just began closing the piano lid with practiced care. "You should go," Evelyn said to him. "This is a family discussion." "Of course." Daniel's voice remained steady, professional. The warmth from moments ago vanished behind familiar walls. "I need to help with cleanup anyway." He left without looking back. Claire stood frozen between two worlds, the warm chaos of the gymnasium where her daughter laughed freely and the cold certainty of her mother-in-law's expectations. "You're making a mistake," Evelyn said, softer now. "I'm trying to protect you, both of you." "From what?" "From throwing away everything we've built for a feeling that won't last." Claire watched Daniel across the room, lifting a young child to reach the water fountain. The child's mother touched his shoulder in thanks. Such a small gesture, such easy kindness. "What if you're wrong?" Claire asked. "What if what we've built isn't worth protecting?" But Evelyn had already turned away, her heels clicking toward the exit, leaving Claire stranded in the space between warmth and winter. The phone buzzed against Claire's nightstand at 5:47 a.m. Then again, and again. She reached for it, eyes still heavy with sleep, and saw 17 messages. Her stomach dropped before she'd read a single one. "Claire, have you seen this? Is this true about Anna's caretaker? The board is meeting at 8. Be there." Her fingers fumbled with the link Sarah from marketing had sent. The headline filled her screen. "Disgraced teacher now watching children of city's elite. How low has Claire Whitfield fallen?" The article was poison dressed as concern. It dragged up Daniel's old case, twisting facts into weapons. The photo they'd chosen showed him in shadow, menacing. They'd somehow gotten a picture of Anna hugging him outside the community center, her face blurred but recognizable to anyone who knew her. Sources close to the situation expressed concern for young Anna Whitfield, who recently lost her father. Reyes left teaching under a cloud of suspicion after inappropriate conduct allegations. Wealthy widow's judgment questioned as she entrusts child to maintenance worker with troubled past. Claire's hands shook. They'd buried the truth, that charges were dropped, that Daniel had been defending students beneath insinuation and fear. Her phone rang. The office. The boardroom smelled of leather and disappointment. 7 faces turned toward Claire as she entered, their expressions ranging from pity to barely contained anger. "Sit," Richard Blackstone commanded. He'd been gunning for her position since her husband died. Claire sat. "We'll make this quick," Richard continued. "This article is trending. Our shareholders are concerned. Some are suggesting we need leadership that understands appropriate boundaries." The article is a hit piece. If you'd read past the headline— I read it. Margaret Chen, usually an ally, looked exhausted. "Claire, perception matters. You know this. You teach this. You're asking me to fire someone because of lies? We're asking you to think about the company, about your daughter's future at Preston Academy, about what doors will close if this continues." Richard leaned forward. "Make it clean. Distance yourself. Say you were misled about his background. We'll spin it as you being too trusting, too kind. People will forgive that. And if I don't?" The silence answered her. Claire drove home with numb fingers gripping the wheel. The radio played news, but she heard nothing. In her driveway sat Evelyn's Mercedes, polished and patient as a predator. Her mother-in-law waited in the living room, the article printed and spread across the coffee table like evidence at a trial. "They called me," Evelyn said without preamble. 3 board members, 2 school trustees, even Father Morrison from the church. "Mother, duh." "Don't." Evelyn's voice could have frozen flame. "I've spent 30 years building the Whitfield name, 30 years of charity galas and strategic friendships and careful reputation management. Your husband understood this. He protected it. He's dead. His legacy isn't. Anna's future isn't." Evelyn stood, smoothing her skirt. "That man, Reyes, he'll survive this. His kind all was due. They're used to doors closing. But Anna, she'll carry this mark forever. The girl whose mother chose the janitor over her future. That's exactly how they'll tell it. At school, at university applications, at her wedding." Evelyn's voice softened, almost kind. "I'm not the villain here, Claire. I'm trying to save you from yourself." Claire stared at the article, at the photo of Anna's trusting embrace turned into something shameful. "Where is she?" "In her room. She knows something's wrong. Children always do." Daniel answered his door still in work clothes. Paint splattered across his knuckles. Behind him, Ethan sat at the kitchen table doing homework. "We need to talk," Claire said. His face told her he'd already seen the article. Of course he had. The world made sure men like Daniel knew exactly where they stood. "Ethan," Daniel called. "Headphones." The boy looked between them, understanding too much, but obeyed. "I'm sorry," Claire started. "Don't." Daniel's voice carried no anger, just tired recognition. "I know how this goes. The board? I know. Anna's school? I know." They stood in his doorway, the space between them expanding like a gulf. "This isn't what I want," Claire said, "but it's what you're choosing." The words stung because they were true. She was choosing safety over courage, choosing the known world over the uncertain one. "It's temporary, until things calm down." "Nothing about this is temporary," Daniel's composure finally cracked. "You think Anna will understand temporary? You think Ethan will? Please don't make this harder." "Harder?" He laughed, bitter and short. "Lady, I've been through harder." "But those kids, they were just starting to believe in something good." From the living room, small footsteps. Anna appeared, having somehow escaped her room and found her way here. Her face was blotchy with tears. "Don't go," she whispered, wrapping her arms around Daniel's legs. "Please don't go." Daniel knelt, gentle despite everything. "Hey, little one, sometimes grown-ups have to make hard choices. But I chose you. I chose you first." Claire's chest cracked. Daniel lifted Anna, passed her to her mother. The child sobbed, reaching back toward him. "Take care," Daniel said. Just that. Take care. Claire stood at her window that night, Anna finally asleep after hours of tears. Below, Daniel and Ethan walked toward the bus stop, carrying boxes from Daniel's maintenance locker. Ethan kept looking back at the building. Daniel kept his eyes forward. The rain had started, turning the streetlights into watercolor smears. She pressed her palm against the glass, watching them grow smaller, disappear around the corner. Behind her, Anna whimpered in her sleep. Claire closed her eyes, remembering the music, the laughter, the almost confession. She'd protected Anna's future by destroying her present. She'd saved her reputation by breaking 3 hearts, 4 if she counted honestly. The window fogged with her breath. When she wiped it clear, the street was empty. 3 days passed like a funeral procession. Anna moved through the townhouse as if under water, her steps silent on floors that once echoed with her laughter. She'd answer questions with single words. Yes, number, okay. Each syllable dropped like a stone into still water. Claire watched her daughter push scrambled eggs around her plate, building walls and moats instead of eating. "The Petersons invited us to their pool party Saturday," Claire tried. "Sarah will be there." Anna's fork scraped ceramic. "Or we could go to the museum. They have the butterfly exhibit you wanted." "I'm not hungry." Anna slid from her chair, leaving her breakfast untouched. The piano sat closed, its black surface reflecting the room like a coffin lid. Claire found Anna there that afternoon, running her small fingers along the edge, but never lifting the cover. "Would you like to practice?" "I could help. Daniel showed me middle C." Anna's voice was flat. "He said it was the heart of the piano." "I could show you." "You don't know how." Not cruel, just factual. Daniel knew how. His hands made it sing. Claire's throat tightened. She reached for her daughter, but Anna drifted away, ghost-like up the stairs. The drawings appeared gradually. First, a single sketch left on the kitchen counter. 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, holding hands beneath a yellow sun. Daniel and Ethan labeled in Anna's careful printing. Then more. Daniel at the piano, Ethan showing something on a computer screen, the 4 of them around a dinner table, the dinner that would never happen again. Each drawing was dated, as if Anna was documenting memories before they faded. Claire found them arranged on Anna's nightstand like prayer cards, weighted down with her favorite smooth stone from the garden. "These are beautiful," Claire said, sitting on Anna's bed. Anna was coloring another one, Daniel fixing the radiator, herself watching. She'd drawn hearts floating in the steam. "So I don't forget," Anna said. "Forget what?" What happy looked like. The words were a knife between Claire's ribs. She wanted to say they'd be happy again, that there would be other people, other chances. But the lie stuck in her throat. Evelyn visited Thursday afternoon, bringing Anna an expensive doll with porcelain features and a silk dress. "For my special girl," she cooed. Anna held it like a foreign object, then set it carefully aside. "Thank you, grandmother." Evelyn shot Claire a look. "She's still moping?" "She's grieving." "Over a maintenance man?" "Really, Claire, children are resilient. She'll forget in a week." But Anna didn't forget. She grew quieter, dinner becoming a battleground of untouched food and lowered eyes. Claire tried everything. Favorite meals, dessert bribes, restaurant outings. Nothing penetrated the wall of silence Anna had built. Friday evening, Claire was washing dishes when Anna appeared in the doorway, holding her drawings. "Can we mail these to Ethan?" I don't think that's a good idea, sweetheart." Why? Because the board was watching. Because Evelyn would find out. Because the other mothers would whisper. Claire searched for words that wouldn't sound like cowardice. It might make it harder for everyone. Anna studied her mother's face with those deep, knowing eyes. "You're scared." "That's not—" He wasn't scared. Even when people were mean, Daniel wasn't scared. Anna clutched her drawings tighter. He was the only one who listened. Really listened. Not like the nannies who pretended, not like grandmother who tells me how to feel. He heard me. Anna dash dash. When I told him about Daddy, he didn't say it would be okay. He said it would hurt for a long time, but that was okay too. He said hurt meant love was real. Claire's hand stilled in the soapy water. "I miss him," Anna whispered. "I miss Ethan. I miss feeling like we were becoming something, like puzzle pieces finding where they fit." Then she was gone, bare feet padding up the stairs, leaving Claire alone with the weight of her daughter's truth. Claire sat in her husband's study that night, his photo watching from the mahogany desk. Richard Whitfield, frozen in professional perfection. She'd kept this room exactly as he'd left it. Law books arranged by height, diploma frames parallel to the wall, everything ordered and proper. "What would you have done?" she asked the photo. But she knew Richard would have done exactly what she'd done. He would have protected their standing, maintained appearances, chosen the safe path. He'd been a good man, but he'd lived within careful boundaries. She thought of Daniel's hands on the piano keys, patient and sure. Of Ethan teaching Anna the rhythm game. Of 4 people around a table, building something unnamed but real. He was the only one who listened, Anna had said. Claire looked at Richard's photo again. Had he ever really listened? Had she? Or had they been too busy maintaining their perfect life to hear what mattered? Outside, rain began, gentle against the window. Somewhere in the city, Daniel was tucking Ethan into bed. Somewhere, 2 hearts were breaking in a modest apartment, just as 2 were breaking in this pristine townhouse. She'd protected Anna from scandal, but stolen her joy. She'd preserved their reputation, but shattered her daughter's trust in the world's goodness. Claire pressed her palms against her eyes. She'd repeated society's cruelty, dressed it up as protection, called it love. But Anna knew better. Children always did. The photo offered no answers, just Richard's frozen smile, confident in a world that made sense to him. But that world had never made room for men like Daniel, or for little girls who saw through surfaces to hearts, or Claire was beginning to realize, for the woman she might have been if she'd been less afraid. The community center sat wedged between a laundromat and a corner store, its painted mural of children's handprints fading in the morning sun. Claire pulled into the cracked parking lot, her Mercedes conspicuous among the older sedans and minivans. She'd told Evelyn she had a board meeting. The lie came easier than expected. Inside, the center hummed with Saturday activity, children at computers, parents chatting over coffee, the sound of basketballs echoing from the gym. Claire recognized the space from her brief visit weeks ago, but now she saw it differently. This was Daniel's world, where he'd continued teaching in his own way. "Mrs. Whitfield?" A woman approached, mid-30s, wearing jeans and a volunteer badge. "I'm Maria Gonzalez. My son Carlos is in the computer lab." Claire shook her hand. "I wanted to ask about Daniel Reyes." Maria's face softened. "We heard what happened. It's not right, what they're saying about him." "You knew him before, when he taught?" "He was Carlos's music teacher at Jefferson Elementary, best teacher that school ever had." Maria led Claire to a cluster of parents near the coffee station. Word spread quickly. Daniel's friend was here, the woman from the newspaper story. But instead of judgment, Claire found welcome. "Sit," urged an older man named Robert Chen. "You want to know about Daniel? We'll tell you." They gathered around her. These parents who'd known a different Daniel, Mr. Reyes, the music teacher who'd stayed late to help struggling students, who'd bought instruments with his own money when the school budget ran dry. My daughter Keisha, said a woman named Yolanda, pulling out her phone. She couldn't read music, had trouble with traditional teaching. Daniel created a color-coded system just for her. She's at Performing Arts High School now. He fought for our kids, Robert added. When the administration tried to cut the music program for the special needs classes, Daniel stood up at every board meeting. Maria leaned forward. But it was the Columbus Day incident that did him in. The story unfolded like a wound reopening. 3 years ago, several Latino students had been told they couldn't participate in the Columbus Day Assembly, unofficial policy from an administrator named Harold Brennan, who believed certain elements shouldn't represent the school. Daniel had quietly rehearsed those students for a counter-performance, teaching them indigenous songs that told a different story of discovery. When Brennan found out, he'd been furious. Daniel didn't back down, Maria said. He told Brennan that every child deserved to be heard. That history had more than one voice. That's when the accusation started, Yolanda continued. Suddenly, Daniel was inappropriate with students. Brennan found parents willing to complain, mostly ones who didn't like their kids learning alongside those children. The investigation had found nothing, no evidence, no credible witnesses. But the damage was done. Daniel resigned to protect the students from further targeting. He could have fought it, Robert said, could have made it ugly in public, but he knew that would hurt the kids more. So he left quietly, took the maintenance job, kept volunteering here where Brennan's reach didn't extend. Claire's phone rang. Evelyn, probably wondering about the meeting. She declined the call. We tried to speak up, Maria said. But who listens to parents from this neighborhood? Our voices didn't matter to them. They matter, Claire said, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. They matter now. The parents exchanged glances. There's going to be a community board meeting Tuesday night, Robert said, about funding for the center. Daniel doesn't know, but we're planning to speak, to tell the truth about what happened. All of us, Yolanda added. Every parent whose child he helped. Claire thought of the boardroom warnings, Evelyn's disapproval, the whispers that would follow. Then she thought of Anna's drawings, carefully saved to remember happiness. I'll be there too. As Claire stood to leave, a small hand tugged her sleeve. She turned to find Ethan, eyes wide with surprise. Mrs. Whitfield? Is Anna here? Her heart clenched. No, sweetheart. I came alone. His face fell, but he rallied quickly. Can you tell her something? Tell her I'm teaching the computer to play her favorite song for when she comes back. If she comes back, Claire corrected gently. Ethan shook his head with the certainty only children possess. When? My dad always says the truth will find its voice. Sometimes it just needs time to get brave enough to speak. That evening, Claire found Anna in her room, arranging her drawings in careful rows across the carpet. Daniel teaching piano. Ethan at the computer. The four of them at dinner. What are you doing, sweetheart? Practicing, remembering. So, when I'm older, I won't forget what it felt like when we were almost a family. Claire knelt beside her daughter, studying the drawings. Anna had captured something Claire's photographs never had. The feeling of belonging, rendered in crayon, and hope. What if, Claire said slowly, we didn't have to just remember? Anna looked up, eyes cautious. You said we couldn't. I was wrong. I was scared. Are you still scared? Claire thought of the parents at the center, their fierce loyalty to a man who'd sacrificed everything for their children. She thought of Ethan's faith that truth would find its voice. Yes, she admitted, but I'm going to do it anyway. Anna studied her mother's face, then carefully picked up one drawing, Daniel and Claire in the kitchen, working side by side. This one's my favorite, she said, because you both look like you're listening, really listening. Claire pulled her daughter close, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo and possibility. We're going to make this right, she whispered. Anna nodded against her shoulder. Ethan says truth finds its voice. Smart boy. The smartest, except at spelling. I'm better at spelling. For the first time in days, Claire heard her daughter laugh. Small but real, like the first green shoot after winter. The same hall that had hosted the charity gala looked different in daylight. No fairy lights or silk draping, just folding chairs arranged in rows and afternoon sun streaming through tall windows. Claire stood at the entrance, watching families arrive. Some came from her world, pearl necklaces catching light. Others wore work uniforms, having rushed straight from shifts. Whispers followed each arrival. Why is Claire Whitfield defending the janitor? Heard she's lost her mind since her husband died. My broker says her board's furious. Claire's hands trembled around her phone. 14 missed calls from Evelyn. She switched it to silent. Maria from the community center climbed the stage first. No notes, just determination. 3 years ago, my daughter Sophia couldn't read. Teacher said she'd never catch up. Then Mr. Reyes started teaching after school, not for money, just because he cared. Now Sophia reads to her little brother every night. She held up a photo, Sophia beaming, holding a certificate. This is what Daniel Reyes does. He sees children others overlook. One by one they came forward. Robert spoke about his son Marcus, who'd been failing math until Daniel turned equations into music rhythms. The boy who couldn't multiply now programs computers. A young teacher, Sarah Chen, described watching Daniel stand between minority students and Harold Brennan's cruelty. He knew what it would cost him. He did it anyway. My grandson was headed for trouble, an elderly woman said. Running with older boys, angry at everything. Mr. Reyes taught him piano, gave him something to be proud of besides being tough. The testimonies built like a symphony, each voice adding depth. Even skeptics leaned forward listening. Then came Dr. Patricia Morse, who'd led the investigation into Brennan's accusations. I've conducted hundreds of investigations. This was the clearest case of retaliation I've ever seen. Zero evidence of misconduct. Multiple witnesses confirming Daniel Reyes acted with complete integrity. The only wrongdoing was by those who tried to silence him. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Several reporters took notes. A man in an expensive suit stood, James Whitfield, Claire's brother-in-law. This is ridiculous. The man was accused of protecting children, Doctor, Morse interrupted. Yes, guilty as charged. More parents spoke. The Hendersons, whose autistic son learned to communicate through music. The Nguyens, whose daughter found confidence at the piano. Story after story of quiet dedication, unrecognized sacrifice. Claire watched Daniel in the back row, head bowed, Ethan's hand in his. He'd tried to leave twice. Both times parents had gently blocked his path. Finally, silence fell. All eyes turned to Claire. She walked to the microphone, her heels clicking against hardwood. The room held its breath. 6 months ago, I interviewed 20 nannies. Perfect resumes, flawless references. My mother-in-law approved everyone. A few uncomfortable chuckles. My daughter chose none of them. She chose the man who came to fix our radiator, who spoke to her like she mattered, who didn't check his phone while she talked. Claire's voice steadied. I built my career on innovation, on seeing potential others miss. But in my own home, I nearly let fear blind me to what my 6-year-old saw clearly. She found Evelyn in the crowd, rigid with disapproval. I've been told repeatedly that appearances matter, that protecting reputation is paramount. But what message does that send my daughter? That truth matters less than perception? That safety comes from credentials rather than character? Her voice rose. Daniel Reyes lost everything defending children who couldn't defend themselves. He chose integrity over comfort, justice over job security. If that makes him unsuitable to care for my child, then I've been measuring worth by the wrong standard. I will not, Claire's voice cracked, then strengthened. I will not trade my daughter's well-being for society's approval. I will not teach her that courage should bow to gossip. If the board wants my resignation, they can have it. If friends want to whisper, let them. My daughter's heart is worth more than their opinions. The hall erupted. Some applauded, others sat frozen. Evelyn stood to leave. "Wait," Claire called. "There's someone else who wants to speak." Anna walked to the stage, so small the microphone had to be lowered. She wore her favorite dress, the one with stars on it. The room fell completely silent. Anna looked out at the crowd, then found Daniel in the back. "I chose him because he's safe." Her voice was clear, certain. "When I cried about Daddy, he didn't tell me to stop. He said missing someone means you love them good. When I couldn't sleep, he taught me to count piano keys instead of sheep. When kids at school said mean things about him, Ethan shared his sandwich with me anyway." She turned to the crowd. "You think he's just the man who fixes things, but he fixed us too. Me and Mommy. We were broken, and he made us a family." Anna's voice wavered. "He is family. You don't pick family from interviews. You know them by how they make your heart feel. My heart feels safe with Daniel and Ethan. That's how I know." The silence stretched, profound and complete. Then, from the back, someone began clapping. Then another, and another. The applause built like thunder. People rising to their feet, even some who'd whispered stood, perhaps shamed by a child's courage. Reporters raised cameras, capturing the moment that would reshape the narrative. Daniel stood frozen as Claire walked toward him through the crowd. People parted, creating a path. She stopped in front of him, aware of every eye, every camera. Then she took his hand. His fingers trembled in hers, work calloused and gentle. Ethan wrapped his arms around them both. Anna ran from the stage, crashing into the embrace. "Truth found its voice," Ethan whispered. Daniel looked at Claire, eyes bright with unshed tears. "You didn't have to—" "Yes," she said firmly. "I did." Around them, the crowd continued applauding, not for performance or perception, but for something rarer. Courage, choosing love over fear, truth over comfort. The community had awakened, and with it, the possibility of a different kind of family, one built not on status or expectation, but on the revolutionary act of choosing each other. 3 weeks after the community gathering, Claire's phone rang during a board meeting. She almost ignored it, another reporter probably, but something made her answer. "Miss Whitfield? This is Superintendent Martinez from the district office." Claire stepped into the hallway, her pulse quickening. "We've completed our review of Mr. Reyes's case. The testimonies from the community gathering combined with new evidence about systemic discrimination at his former school." The superintendent paused. "The district would like to offer Mr. Reyes full reinstatement with back pay and a formal apology." Claire gripped the phone tighter. "That's wonderful, but—" "There's more. We're launching a new initiative, an after-school music program for underserved children. We'd like Mr. Reyes to head it. The board mentioned you've expressed interest in funding such a program." Claire found Daniel at the community center, replacing worn carpet in the main room. Ethan and Anna sat nearby, sharing earbuds and giggling at something on Ethan's tablet. "Daniel." He looked up, wiping his forehead with his sleeve. She'd learned to read his expressions. The slight tension around his eyes meant he was bracing for bad news. "The district called." His shoulders dropped. "If this is about more trouble—" "They want you back. Full reinstatement. Heading a new music academy." The hammer slipped from his hand, clattering on the floor. Ethan's head snapped up. "Dad?" Daniel stood slowly, as if sudden movement might make the words disappear. "That's not—" "They wouldn't." Claire held out her phone, showing him the official email that had followed. His hand shook as he read it. "Back pay," he whispered. "A formal apology. Program director." Ethan launched himself at his father. "You're a teacher again, a real teacher." "I was always a real teacher, mijo," Daniel said, but his voice broke on the words. Anna tugged Claire's sleeve. "Does this mean Mr. Daniel won't fix things anymore?" "He'll fix different things," Claire said. "Hearts. Confidence. Dreams." The academy space was nothing fancy. A converted warehouse near the community center, But Daniel walked through it like it was Carnegie Hall. Claire had insisted on quality instruments, soundproofing, and plenty of natural light. "We'll need practice rooms here," Daniel said, sketching on a notepad. "And a small performance space, nothing grand, just enough for recitals. Whatever you need." He stopped sketching. "Claire, this is too much. You don't have to—" "I'm not doing it for you." She watched Anna and Ethan racing between empty rooms, their laughter echoing. "I'm doing it for them. For all the children who need what you can give." Their eyes met, held. Something had shifted between them since the community gathering, a door opening slowly, carefully. "Partners?" she asked, extending her hand. He took it, his grip warm and steady. "Partners." The knock at Claire's door that evening surprised everyone. Evelyn stood on the threshold holding a casserole dish like a peace offering. "May I come in?" Claire stepped aside. In the living room, Daniel was helping Anna with math homework while Ethan programmed something on Claire's laptop. A perfectly ordinary evening that would have horrified Evelyn months ago. "Mr. Reyes." Evelyn's voice was stiff, formal. Daniel stood. "Mrs. Whitfield." The silence stretched until Anna broke it. "Grandma!" "Look what Ethan taught me." She played a simple melody on the keyboard Daniel had brought over. Evelyn's face softened just slightly. "That's lovely, dear." Another pause. Then, as if the words were being extracted surgically, "Mr. Reyes, I owe you an apology." Daniel blinked, clearly stunned. "I judged you unfairly, based on prejudice rather than character." She straightened her pearls, a nervous gesture. "My granddaughter has never been happier. That should have been all that mattered." "I was protecting the wrong things," Evelyn continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "Reputation, status, things that won't hold Anna when she cries or teach her to be brave." She turned to Claire. "Your husband would be proud. You chose substance over surface. I forgot what that looked like." Anna ran to her grandmother, wrapping small arms around her waist. "It's okay, Grandma. Mr. Daniel says everyone deserves second chances." Evelyn's composure finally cracked. She knelt, pulling Anna close. Over her granddaughter's shoulder, she met Daniel's eyes. "Thank you," she mouthed. He nodded, understanding the weight of those words. "Well," Evelyn said, rising and smoothing her skirt, "I brought dinner. Nothing fancy, just, I thought, perhaps we could all eat together." The table expanded with a leaf Claire hadn't used since her husband's death. 6 places set, Evelyn's casserole steaming alongside the salad Daniel had made and the rolls Ethan had picked out. "This is nice," Anna announced, then turned to Ethan. "Tomorrow, can we work on our duet?" "After academy practice," Daniel reminded them. "You've both got regular students to help now." Claire watched him explain the peer mentoring program. Older kids helping younger ones, building community through music. His eyes lit up describing it, hands moving as he talked. This was the teacher he'd always been, just waiting to emerge again. "More potatoes, Mr. Reyes?" Evelyn offered, still formal but trying. "Daniel," he corrected gently. "Please?" She nodded. "Daniel, then." After dinner, the children performed their latest piece. More complex now, their confidence growing. Evelyn sat beside Claire on the sofa, both women watching their children shine. "I was wrong," Evelyn said quietly. "About everything." Claire took her mother-in-law's hand. "We all were, in different ways." Daniel and Claire cleaned up together while Evelyn taught the children a card game. Their movements in the kitchen had become synchronized. She washed, he dried, both reaching for things the other needed without asking. "Thank you," he said suddenly. "For what?" "For fighting. For standing up. For seeing us, me and Ethan, as worth the risk." Claire turned off the water, faced him fully. "You were never the risk, Daniel. Fear was. Fear of judgment, of change, of feeling again. And now?" She smiled, hearing Anna's shriek of laughter from the next room, Ethan's voice explaining rules, Evelyn's unexpected chuckle. Now we're a family. Unconventional, maybe. Complicated, definitely, but real. The house that had echoed with loneliness now rang with life. Children's laughter, adult conversation, the clink of dishes and shuffle of cards. Not perfect, but perfect enough. Tomorrow would bring the Academy's soft opening. 40 children already enrolled. There would be challenges, setbacks, small victories. But tonight, around this table, 2 broken families had become something whole. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms and warm rain, washing winter's last traces from the city. The Second Chances Music Academy's courtyard buzzed with voices, parents setting up folding chairs, children tuning instruments, teachers arranging sheet music on stands. Claire adjusted the ribbon on the shovel, checking her watch. He's never late. Traffic on the bridge, Daniel called, jogging through the gate with a young oak tree balanced in his arms, Ethan and Anna flanking him. Someone insisted we stop for donuts. Anna grinned, powdered sugar on her nose. For the celebration. 3 months had passed since the Academy opened. 3 months of small miracles, shy children finding their voices, troubled teens discovering discipline through music, parents reconnecting through their kids' progress. The waiting list stretched into summer. Places, everyone. Mrs. Chen, the new assistant director, clapped her hands. The crowd settled, forming a circle around the prepared hole in the courtyard center. Daniel set the oak sapling beside the spot, its roots wrapped in burlap. Before we plant this tree, I want to say something. The courtyard quieted. Claire recognized his teacher voice, gentle but commanding attention. 8 months ago I was invisible, a man who fixed pipes and radiators, who most people looked through rather than at. My son and I had learned to be small, to not take up space. Ethan moved closer to his father, and Daniel's hand found his shoulder. Then a little girl saw something different. Anna Whitfield looked at me and decided I was worth choosing. Her mother had the courage to listen, even when the world said not to. Claire felt tears building. Across the circle, Evelyn dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. This academy exists because one child's heart knew better than all our adult fears. Because sometimes the most important choices come from the smallest voices. Anna stepped forward, surprisingly bold. Can I say something too? Daniel nodded, and she stood beside the oak sapling, addressing the crowd with 6-year-old solemnity. When my daddy went to heaven, everything got quiet. Mommy was sad. I was sad. The house felt empty even when people were there. Claire's breath caught. Anna rarely spoke about her father publicly. Then Mr. Daniel came to fix our radiator. He was quiet too, but a different quiet. A listening quiet. He heard things I couldn't say out loud. She looked at Ethan, and he brought me a brother. Ethan's face reddened, but he smiled. Some kids at school said mean things when they found out Mr. Daniel takes care of me sometimes. They said he was just the janitor, but they were wrong. He's a teacher, and... Anna paused, glancing at her mother, then back at Daniel. And he's family. The crowd murmured approval. Parents who'd initially questioned Daniel's presence now nodded, having witnessed their own children's transformations under his guidance. Let's plant this tree, Claire said, voice thick with emotion. 4 sets of hands gripped the shovel, Claire and Daniel's larger ones guiding Anna and Ethan's smaller ones. Together they lifted the first scoop of earth. Why an oak tree? Someone called out. Daniel answered while they worked. Oaks start small, but grow strong. They weather storms, provide shelter, and their roots run deep, like second chances, like chosen families. The children took turns adding soil, patting it firm around the sapling's base. When the planting was done, Mrs. Chen unveiled a bronze plaque staked beside the tree. Built for second chances and chosen hearts. Second Chances Music Academy, where every voice matters. The Academy's student orchestra began playing, not perfectly, some notes wavering, timing slightly off, but full of joy. Parents swayed, Smaller children danced, and even Evelyn tapped her foot to the rhythm. Claire found herself beside Daniel as the music swirled around them. Sunlight filtered through the oak's small leaves, casting dancing shadows. "We did something good here," she said. "We did something necessary." His fingers found hers, intertwining naturally. Every child deserves someone who sees their worth. She thought of board meetings where she'd once worried about stock prices and market shares. None of that mattered as much as the shy boy now playing trumpet with growing confidence, or the girl who'd stopped cutting herself since joining the choir. "Daniel?" He turned to her, and she saw their whole journey in his eyes. From the suspicious maintenance man to the beloved teacher, from stranger to family. "Thank you for letting Anna choose you, for choosing us back." Before he could respond, Anna and Ethan ran over, grabbing their free hands. "Look!" Anna pointed to the oak sapling. "It's already reaching for the sun." "We should water it," Ethan said, ever practical. "With what?" Anna asked. Daniel produced a watering can from behind the supply shed. "I came prepared." The four of them took turns pouring water at the oak's base, the earth drinking it in. Around them, the celebration continued. Music and laughter, children and adults, different backgrounds and circumstances united in this moment. "Are you going to get married?" Anna asked suddenly with a child's directness. Claire choked on air. Daniel turned red. "Anna," Ethan groaned, "you can't just ask that." "Why not? We're family now, aren't we?" The two adults exchanged glances over the children's heads. Not yet, Claire thought, but maybe someday, when they were ready, when the foundation they'd built felt solid enough for that next step. "We're family," Daniel confirmed, squeezing Claire's hand. "However that looks, whatever that becomes." Anna considered this, then nodded, satisfied. She grabbed Ethan's hand. "Come on, they're serving cake." The children raced toward the refreshment table, leaving Claire and Daniel standing by their newly planted tree. "She's not wrong, you know," Claire said softly. "We are family." Daniel pulled her closer, and she rested her head against his shoulder, watching their children navigate the crowd together. Anna's blonde head beside Ethan's dark one, their hands still linked. The oak tree stood between them and the academy, small but steady, roots already reaching deep. In time, it would grow tall and strong, providing shade and shelter for generations of students, built for second chances, chosen hearts. A family forged not from perfection but from courage, the courage to see beyond surfaces, to choose love over fear, to believe that broken things could be made beautiful again. The music continued, carried on spring wind, a symphony of new beginnings. If you enjoyed the story, I handpicked this next story that you will enjoy. Please don't miss this one. Click here to watch it.